Season 2 of Love is Blind has come to an end, but it seems like it was only the beginning. Hey guys, welcome back to another Love is Blind update. We have got to talk about how Season 2 of Love is Blind went down, but before we get into it, make sure you subscribe to our channel and ring the bell so you don't miss out on any future videos. I'm your host, Gianna, joined today by the wonderful Zachary Reality and Alison Van Dam. You guys, I need to ask right off the bat, how did we like Season 2 as a whole?
Season 2 was iconic. I think it started off really slow. A lot of people were hesitant to kind of dive right in, but there ended up being so much gossip and drama with the cast, and a lot of it played out on social media, and there's been so many rumors about like who's together and who's with who. So I think it's safe to say that the season ended up overall being just phenomenal, just juicy television. And I mean, I am just so ridiculously invested, and I was not even that into season 1, so it's definitely saying something about season 2.
I completely agree. I felt the same at the beginning of the season. I was like, why am I watching this? Do I really need to keep watching? And then I kept binging more and more and more as it continued. And now I'm completely sold. I'm ready for seasons 3, 4, and 5.
Literally.
I am right there with you guys. And it's so funny because I feel like since season 1 was obviously the very first season of the show, not as many people were really into it. I have to say, I was an OG Love is Blind fan. I watched it right when season 1 came
Flex.
out. But this season was definitely way more dramatic than the last season, I would say. And of course, like I said, the show is still so brand new. It is such a new reality show. So, do we think in the future that it could have the potential to be as popular as The Bachelor and go as far as The Bachelor?
Gianna, it is more popular than The Bachelor right now. I mean, we're getting a lot of views here talking about Love is Blind on my personal pages. I'm getting like triple the amount of views than I do for Bachelor. So I think more people are invested right now in Love is Blind than The Bachelor. And Gianna, I have heard that they are shooting a third season, that I think they're doing it in Atlanta. I like how they do all the people in like one city. So I think Love is Blind has a really strong future, and Netflix in general is killing it with the reality shows. I know they have some stuff coming up in the works. So, I mean, we're going to be talking about Love is Blind for many years to come. This is just the second season of probably many, many more.
I think it's just a completely different beast. The Bachelor started so many years ago when everything was on cable, on TV, and now we have so many streaming services. So I just think it's different between Love is Blind, The Circle. They're just so much more into technology and more of like a modern dating story. So I think they're just like kind of comparing apples and oranges because The Bachelor is very traditional as opposed to this, which is very much like made for the 2020s.
Absolutely. You both had such great points. And I think also Love is Blind has that appeal because it's not really a producer driven show. You know, these men and women get thrown into the pods, and what they say is what they say right then and there. And then they're just out into the world living their lives. I don't think it's really as influential, or the producers have much of an influence on the contestants as The Bachelor. And I think people love that real reality TV. But enough about raving about the show itself. Let's dive into season 2 and what exactly happened. And I want to start off with Danielle and Nick. They were the very first couple from the pods to actually get engaged. And they really had a problem with arguing throughout the entire season as things got more serious. Danielle struggled with her own insecurities and mental health issues, and Nick tried his very best to be supportive through all of it, but the two were constantly butting heads. And all in all, despite all their arguing, they ended up both saying I do at the altar. Now, right off the bat, Zach, I want to start with you because you actually met Danielle and Nick.
Hmm.
So, how were they in real life?
And they were still arguing, Gianna. When I met them, there was still a couple back and forth. I really liked them in real life. I thought that they were awesome and like cool people. Obviously, they couldn't say too much because, the show is still going on. But I genuinely liked them, and I felt like they fit well together. I'm not surprised that they ended up saying I do, and I believe they are still together today. And I think they're going to last for a while. One thing I've learned about being around these streets and meeting couples is that some couples just really enjoy arguing. Like, it's their way of foreplay, it's their way of having a deep connection. And I think Nick and Danielle are truly that couple that they just kind of live for the toxicity in their relationship, and it's just kind of what keeps it going. So even though from the outside looking in, it might look like it's super unhealthy and it's toxic and they need therapy, that might just be their love language. And who are we to judge? Because they actually definitely said I do, unlike the other few couples.
Hey, I mean, I'm right there with you. I mean, it's better than keeping it all bottled up, right? At least they're saying what's on their mind in that moment. I just can't get over that moment when Nick went to the beach party and Danielle had like the food poisoning and he came back and was being all lovey-dovey and Danielle was like, "I saw you talking to other girls and you didn't wave to me from the beach." And she was just like spiraling like downwardly. So I feel like if that continues, I don't know if they'll survive, but Allison, what do you think? Do you think they're gonna last?
I don't wanna be so negative, but it's also going back to that fight in Mexico. It's just like no one can win in that situation because clearly we have Danielle, she's working through some stuff. She's mentioned that she has insecurities and she questions at things a lot. So that's what she was doing. But then from Nick's perspective, he really didn't do anything wrong. So why should he have to kind of, continue defending himself to what is now his wife in real time? So I can see it kind of being like this seed that got planted that just continues almost like a weed, just like growing and growing over time. So I'm a little nervous about that just because I feel like their arguing styles are just like very different and they're very different people. So if it keeps manifesting in this kind of toxic, tense environment, I don't see that being, 50 years later, we're not going to be hearing from their grandchildren.
100%. But if they keep arguing, I just hope that they keep arguing in that hot dog costume, whatever Danielle had in her closet for the both of them, because that would just make everything so much better. But let's switch gears. I need to mentally prepare to talk about this one. Deepti and Shake. Oh my goodness. Right from the get go, Shake was a problem. He was judging all of the women in the pods for their bodies, which is ironic because the show is all about not judging people off of physical appearance. And he even said that he wouldn't date anyone older than him, even by 1 year. You know, we had that other contestant that got kicked off early on. She was 33, he was 32, and he was like, I'm good. You're way too old for me. Somehow, some way, he and Deepti did get engaged. And when those doors opened and they met each other for the very first time, he grabbed her butt within seconds of meeting her. And he actually revealed in interviews and to other cast members and even to his own mother that he wasn't physically attracted to Deepti and that she reminded him of his aunt and not someone that he would marry. So thankfully, when it got to the wedding, Deepti said no at the altar and expressed that she was going to choose herself. So in this moment, when this was going down, Shake honestly seemed relieved. I mean, Allison, do you think that Shake was happy that Deepti said no?
I think maybe if he was happy, it was because he thought that he would then have kind of a better edit. He wasn't the one saying no to Deep D. He could just, leave things in a nice, like, platonic, we're friends way. Little did he know that we already all saw him as the enemy based on the entire season beforehand. So I was like, even if, regardless of who said no at the altar, you were not anyone's favorite. I think he had a comment in the pods along the lines of, I just want to date a girl that I could keep on my shoulders at a concert or like have on my shoulders. And I was like, I don't know what girl could possibly fit on your shoulders other than maybe a toddler. But these unreal expectations that he had for women, I was like, you are cut. I wish so badly that Deep T like could have ended up with someone better. Maybe she should go on season 3. Maybe we can make her the next bachelorette. I'm like, justice for Deep D. I love her. We need to find her someone much, much better.
No,
I like
seriously,
that deep tea
deep
for
tea for
Bachelorette.
Bachelorette.
Yes, absolutely.
100%.
I've been saying that since the finale too. So, I mean, Zach, what are your overall thoughts on Shake? And Zach, he's been in so much drama since the season finale. So,
Mhm.
can you give us a little update on what is going on with Shake versus Kyle versus everybody?
Yeah, I mean, I think he's a classic narcissist. I think he kind of proved how superficial and high maintenance he is throughout the entire season. I mean, judging someone based on their looks before you even see them, it was just like so much like hypocrisy throughout the entire season. Definitely a chauvinist. I am not really a fan of him. I will say in Shake's defense, because like this, sometimes you got to play devil's advocate. He is entertaining and he has been keeping us occupied and on our toes throughout the entire season and on social media. But I mean, he's definitely proved himself to be a villain and not a really good guy. So I'm really happy that Deepti was able to say no at the end because I do agree with Allison that he probably felt so relieved that he didn't have to break it off because he said he was going to say yes, even though he didn't want to because he didn't want to look like a jerk. So thank God Deepti like knew her self-worth and ended up kind of telling him, you gotta go. What's going on social media? I mean, from what I've heard, the entire cast hates him. No one likes him. They're even saying that he got a better edit on the show than he actually is in real life, which is truly upsetting. He did post something on his Instagram story the other day that he has something major to say, but he's not allowed to until after the reunion on Friday. So I'm hoping it's something that could give us a little redemption for him, just so maybe he's apologizing, maybe he can clear things up so we know that he's not as bad as a guy as we think he is. And there's also been a lot of rumors, Gianna, Allison, maybe you guys have heard these, that Deepti and Kyle actually ended up getting together after the show, and Kyle ended up cheating on Deepti in real time. Like, this is all happening today. So Shake has wanted to expose Kyle, and he did that on his Instagram stories today, for cheating on Deepti. And I don't understand, is he trying to like protect Deepti? Is he trying to make Kyle a bigger villain? I don't know what's going on. Allison, have you seen Shake's Instagram today? Because he's always up to something.
I have so little time in my day, Zach. I do not need to dedicate any more of it to Shake. I had to watch him on my screen for many hours. I am done with Shake, but I appreciate people like you who keep me up to date.
You're
I feel
welcome.
like maybe he's just trying to create a bigger, enemy or a bigger, bad guy of the season. That's him. I don't think that's necessarily possible, and I feel like it's just a bad reflection on Shake as a whole because if you're going to take the time to just push the blame onto someone else as opposed to just accepting responsibility for how you treated Deepti, it just proves our points even more.
Mhm.
Shake is canceled. We hate Shake. No more Shake. I'm sorry. The only shake I want is like an ice cream shake type of thing. But
Hmm.
moving
Please.
on finally to Natalie and Shane. You guys, Shane honestly gave me a headache in the beginning. And there's actually this TikTok trend that has been cracking me up where people are now making fun of how Shane was sitting in the pod since he was always in weird positions, upside down with his legs in the air. And it's just hysterical. But he would always ask Shayna and Natalie, the two women he was interested in, what they were wearing constantly. Again, this is a show about not judging based off of physical appearance, but he was always curious. And then we had that awkward, infamous moment when Shane called Natalie Shayna, and then they got into a little fight. But all in all, Shane ended up proposing to Natalie, and these two seemingly never had an issue. Shayna ended up with Kyle, but she broke up with him before a wedding could even happen due to different religious beliefs. So she said, but she actually revealed in an on camera interview that she still had feelings for Shane. And she even ended up approaching Shane on the beach and said that him and Natalie had a fake relationship and was going off. And she even told Natalie that she had another guy for her instead of Shane. And
Mm.
aside from all of that drama, Natalie and Shane were all in for each other, but they got in a huge fight the night before the wedding. Shane actually said that he hated Natalie and she was the worst thing that ever happened to him. So, naturally, Natalie, being Natalie on the day of the wedding, said no, but told Shane that she was still willing to work through their issues. Shane was so hurt and he told Natalie that he needed time, and he told the cameras that he doesn't know how he could ever even go back to Natalie after what she said. So, Zach, I mean, odds you think they'll get back together? They're a wild card. I have no idea.
From what I've heard, I think they're working on their relationship. I think they were even spotted together last week. So I would not be surprised if they are working on getting back together. And I'm sure we'll see it at the reunion because Shane did put up an Instagram a few days ago, kind of saying that Natalie made him a better man. And, he's so grateful for meeting her and the experience. And then Natalie replied with like a heart, you are a better man. So from what I believe, they have worked on their relationship after the show and they may possibly be together right now. I am glad that Natalie said no. I was shocked when she did. I was actually like screaming. I was watching it like in the morning early, and I was so shocked she said no because I thought that they were going to tie the knot. Because even though they were kind of toxic as well in their own way, like they definitely had different they just seemed like different personalities, but there was this connection between them, which was like undeniable. But I really was like kind of rooting for them. So now I don't really know because, as you mentioned, like Shane kind of is a little bit of a jerk too. It seems like a lot of the guys on this show just don't know how to treat women or are just really superficial, which is like the point of the show is to like take those superficial things away by not seeing the person you're dating. And I mean, I'm just rooting for Natalie. I think she was my favorite on the whole season. So I want to see her happy and I want to see her in love with someone that deserves her. And I just don't know if Shane is the right person, but if she really likes Shane, then I'm going to support her decision.
Yeah, I was also quite shocked when she said no, but also not really because think about it. If my fiance told me the night before our wedding that I was the worst thing that ever happened to him, I would have said no at the altar. I wouldn't even have showed up to the wedding, to be honest with you. But speaking of their Instagram posts, Allison, I don't know if you've seen them. Shane's been posting about Natalie. Natalie's been posting about Shane, and she posted this photo dump of them together out and about on dates, and they look like really recent photos. And Shane actually commented on it and
Hmm.
said, always. So, Allison, do you think they're together after hearing about this?
I mean, between that and also in the post that Zach was talking about when Shane posted, he said he will always love her. And then he included the little bit about how he and Shayna are not together, how they've hung out with Natalie and the others. So I'm like, between the always love you and between the like really clarifying that he's not with Shayna, I think that just benefits Natalie and gets people off of their back. I would not be surprised in the slightest if they are, actually trying to work things out.
And
Yeah.
who is the girl, who's the guy in Chicago that Shayna had for Natalie back at home? Like I have been trying to figure that out all week and I can't figure it out because like it's apparently it's like someone that Shayna, showed Natalie's Instagram to. So I'm just like wondering who this guy is because it could be a better fit.
Shayna reminds me a lot of Shanae from The Bachelor,
I've
whom
seen
was
that.
famous for making things up on the spot. And I literally believe firmly that there is no guy in Chicago, to be honest with you. I really think she was just saying
Ooh.
that just to throw a wrench in their relationship. So I guess we'll have to see how that works out too. But switching gears once again, we got two more couples to talk about. The next one is Mallory and Sal. These two were a roller coaster wild card of a couple. Mallory had a really strong connection with both Sal and Jarrett in the pods. Jarrett even asked Mallory if he were to propose what she would say, and she actually told him that she would say no. She ended up choosing Sal, but when they met for the first time, she wasn't really attracted to him at first. But as they spent more and more time together, they got even closer. And Sal actually ended up having some concerns after seeing Mallory talk to Jarrett on the beach. Mallory and Jarrett were both discussing if they made the right decision or not. And Jarrett even made a comment about Mallory's ring, saying it wasn't the one that she wanted, and Sal got the wrong one. And ultimately,
Ooh.
when it came to the wedding, Sal is actually the one that said no to Mallory at the end of it. I thought it was going to be the complete opposite. But they
Mhm.
had a discussion at the end of the wedding when all the family and friends left about how they would go on a real date in the real world. So, I mean, Allison, do you think they ever ended up going on that date?
I don't know because it was from the second they met and I saw Mallory's reaction, I was like, she is not attracted to him. And then when Jarrett entered the mix, like they were just set up to fail. And even all of the ring stuff, I can see it from both sides. If that's something she really wanted and she didn't get, and she has one guy who's maybe the one that got away that really knew her and knew what she wanted. And then she's currently with a guy who she's not really that attracted to. And it's clear he either didn't listen or didn't ask the questions. I can see her being in that position, not knowing if it was the right choice. But I can also see it from Sal's perspective of here I am killing myself, putting rose petals on the ground, cooking meals, singing with my ukulele, and she still doesn't want me. Like, it's just, I think they might just need to accept that they are not meant to be, go find other people, and maybe they can stay friends.
Yeah, I think they can stay
100%.
friends because they're not
Absolutely.
like they were not toxic like the other few couples we just talked about. Like I don't feel like they were arguing the entire season and it was as heavy. And I think this just goes to show like you have to get engaged, right, to get out of the pods. So I feel like a lot of couples were just trying to get engaged just so they can like meet each other in real life. And then once you meet someone, the body language, like the energy, like everything changes. So I think that's kind of why Mallory and Jarrett were kind of reconsidering getting back together. Ultimately, I feel like Mallory and Sal just kind of just didn't have enough in common and they just didn't have the strongest connection. So I was proud of Sal when he called it off and I know his family was proud of him. I do think they ended up going on the date because like why not? Like go on a date for the first time without cameras and producers in your ear and stuff. So I think they ended up going on the date, but I don't think they're together and I think that they're probably on the best of terms compared to some of the other couples.
It's like that whole thing, if there's no spark with somebody, you can't force a spark. I mean, I'm sure we've all been there. It's like this person is perfect, Allison, like you mentioned, the way that Sal was going out of his way to do these grand gestures for her, they check off all the boxes, and it's just like, if it's not there, it's not there. And I could totally tell with Mallory. And like even the way when they first saw each other, she was like, oh, like she was not into it at all. So I think it is best to stay away. And allegedly, like we said earlier, Sal is with Deepti now, maybe. I mean, Deepti threw us for a loop by posting an Instagram story. So I guess we're just going to have to see what's going down during the reunion. But last but not least, Ayanna and Jarrett. As we mentioned before, Jarrett, I think, was completely in love with Mallory. I mean, he had a horrible mental breakdown when she said that she wouldn't get engaged to him. Like tears. I've never seen a man react like that before. He was truly heartbroken. But he realized that he still had Ayanna and he actually ended up proposing to her. She obviously said yes. And these two were so smitten together and they were getting along perfectly fine. Their only issues were when they discussed their lives and how Ayanna likes to stay in and Jarrett likes to go out and party. Ayanna also expressed concerns about feeling like a second option since she knew about Jarrett and Mallory's connection and how upset he was. And she also said that she needed Jarrett to prove that he was willing to change and she needed to see it firsthand. And when it came to the wedding, Jarrett's dad officiated the ceremony, which was so cute. And they both said yes. And you guys, honestly, out of all the couples, I mean, I have the highest hope for them out of everyone. I mean, Zach, what do you think?
I mean, I knew they were gonna say yes because it was the last couple, so as far as someone who, like, looks at, like, producers and editing, like, of course, like, the first couple says yes, 3 say no, the final one has to say yes. I think they're cute together, I think that they have a lot of growing to do together, and they still have to get to know each other, especially because they did have such a rocky start where they were talking to other people. So, I wish them the best because I think that they have potential, I just think they really needed to kind of explore it in the real world. So I was a little shocked that they got married because it felt like they still had a lot more to work through. But then, like I said, I knew that they were going to. I know she was spotted in Vegas last weekend without her ring. So I don't know if that's because the reunion hasn't aired yet and they're not allowed to. I would think that because we know they got married on the show, that they should be able to wear their ring since the finale is out. But maybe because of the reunion not being out, she wasn't allowed to. Jarrett was also in Vegas as well. So I'm assuming they were together. I think they're still together, and I hope that they stay together.
Yeah, I hope they're together too. I'm with you, Gianna. Ended up being my favorite couple, and I think that happened during their scene in the kitchen when they were talking through, different schedules, different lifestyles, and Ayana was saying, I'm not asking you to give up on this nightlife completely, but come home by 1 instead of 3. And Jarrett said something along the lines of, "No, I totally get that. I'm a married man. I can't be living a single man's life anymore." So it was just this, it felt like a very normal, natural conversation that a real couple would have, as opposed to feeling very staged like a show. So that's, I think, when I had the most hope with them, because they just seemed so down to earth and normal, and like they really were trying to make it work because they cared about each other. And I think maybe there's something to be said of, they kind of went into it uncertain. They were, other people's second choice, and they both felt that way, instead of just like assuming it was going to be perfect and assuming it would require no work. So maybe that honestly helped them grow into a marriage, as opposed to it kind of, being really great at first and then falling apart.
Yeah, and not to mention they both wore sneakers to the wedding, which I thought was amazing and untraditional. And I just knew they were both going to say yes right off the bat. I didn't have any concerns about them. But speaking of this reunion that is premiering on Friday, I mean, what are our predictions? There's so much going on right now. Zach.
I mean, there's so much to look forward to, especially because of all the social media drama that's played out in the last week. I think that a lot of the cast is going to be coming for Shake. I think he's going to have to hold himself accountable. I hope he apologizes and I hope that he tries to redeem himself. It doesn't seem like he's going to based on his Instagram and how obnoxious he's being, but I'm hoping he does. I'm also anticipating the drama between Natalie and Shayna to be played out because there was those pictures that were, teased to us of Natalie talking to Shayna. I think she has some things that she wants to get off of her chest, and I'm really just looking forward to seeing the couple's updates because as you mentioned, Gianna, there's rumors like did Deepti get back with Sal? Did Deepti go to Kyle? Is Deepti still friends with Shake? Like, there's just so much updates we need to know that we don't know. Shane and Natalie, like, it's just, there's so much we need to find out. So I cannot wait till Friday. I'll probably stay up very late to find it because I think it comes out at like midnight for PST. And then on the East Coast, it comes out at 3 a.m. So it's not too bad for us. Gianna, you're in Boston, so you're going to have to wait up all night long.
Catch me at 3 a.m. and we will be delivering the tea come Friday morning. I will be so exhausted. But Allison, what are some of your predictions or what do you hope to see?
I think Danielle and Nick and Iyanna and Jarrett will be together. I think Shane and Natalie will be working things out, and that's why Natalie wants to talk with Shayna and really clear the air. I think Mallory and Sal are just going to accept that they're better as friends. Maybe they're dating completely new people. I don't know. And I'm so intrigued to see the conversation between Deepti and Shake because she's so classy, but I would love nothing more if she just came in like guns blazing, like, I don't need you, X, Y, and Z, just like power boss moment. I'm so excited.
I wonder if there's a live audience because if there is, I am looking forward to Shake being completely booed. That is what I am hoping to see. And besides the reunion, we also potentially have those 3 episode specials called After the Altar to look forward to, like they did in season 1. Those came out over a year after the season finale of season 1. I remember it came out in like August of 2021, I believe, this past summer. So I can't wait to see if that's going to be a thing. I mean, do we think that is even going to be a thing for season 2? Because that's where the drama really heats up. What do you guys think?
There was so much drama on After the Altar. I remember Francesca from Too Hot to Handle came in with Damien. Like, I love the Netflix crossovers. So I think there'll be an After the Altar. I also, heard some rumblings that Netflix might be doing another type of reality TV spinoff with some of the cast from like Too Hot to Handle, The Circle. So maybe that's something we can look forward to seeing some of Love is Blind faces on that. But the reunion is coming like a week after, so I don't know exactly what they'll do, but I think we'll be seeing Netflix reality faces a lot more on Netflix within the next year.
I was obsessed with After the Altar. The whole idea of having an engagement party or kind of like a 1 year anniversary thing was so dramatic, mostly because of the entire Francesca, Damien. Like, who brings a date to
Mhm.
your engagement party with another woman and then makes them both take shots
Damien.
together? The whole thing was just crazy. And I will never forget the scene of him and Francesca getting, I think it was like breakfast or lunch. And he asked them if they were like serving shots. And like, he is just such a character. Maybe that'll be Shake, this time around he'll be bringing another date, I don't know. Maybe we can
He
get, like
would.
you said, some crossovers, like, can we get Chloe in there? She needs to, like, knock another Netflix show off of her list, like, I am
Uh-huh.
ready. I'm ready.
I would also love to see the cast from season 1 mingle with the cast from season 2. Like, can we get
Mhm.
some advice from the couples that are still married from season 1 and like the broken up couples? Maybe they can start hooking up with the people that are single from season 2. Like, that could totally be a whole thing.
Yes.
There's Bachelor Nation, and now we officially have a Love is Blind Nation. So I am
Netflix
really looking
Nation.
forward. Netflix Nation as a whole, totally looking forward to seeing what's going to happen at the reunion and after the altar and then a potential season 3. But that is all we have for you guys for now. Let us know all your thoughts about the season 2 finale and all your predictions for the future for Love is Blind down in the comments below. And again, make sure that you subscribe to our channel and ring the bell so you don't miss out on any future videos. Again, I'm your host, Gianna Gravelisi, and I was joined by the lovely, wonderful, amazing Zachary Reality and Allison Van Dam. Thank you guys so much for watching this video, and we will see you in the next one. Bye.
See ya.